Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of Two Fat Guys in a Dream. Of course, I'm your host of the most, Truman Steam Machine Steen. As always, I'm joined here by my father, Scott Steen. Scott, how are you doing?
You sure? Have we ever taken a test about this? DNA?
Yeah. Dude, look at, I mean, comparing our facial hair, it does concern me a little bit. Considering you have just the stash right now and everybody gets to see what I do stash-wise, the only thing that saves me is that you've never grown out on the side and I can't grow shit on the side. So that's making a lot more sense.
No, I've let it grow enough where the patchies kind of like fill each other in, but yeah, no.
I'm never going to be able to have the chin strap? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not one of those guys that I got to shave at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so I'm going out that night.
Gosh, I'm actually going to have to work out if I want a jawline, right? That's the thing. It's because, that's why guys, grow the beards now. We were talking about this at work, actually. And it was like, well, if you grow in the beard, then you've got the actual jawline. And it's like, they say the beard is like makeup for guys, where it really fools a lot of people about your face shape and things like that. And I can't grow anything on the sides. Like I grow like one or two hairs. Well, I can grow a nice, really terrible mustache. There's plenty of hairs in number going on here. They're not long enough or thick enough, but I got plenty going on right here. But the rest of it all comes in not very well. So you're telling me I'll never be able to do that then, huh? Is that the deal?
I don't think so. Sorry, buddy.
I
like how we always start the show with like 3 to 5 minutes of something that is completely off the topic of what we're here to talk about.
We like to get right to the point is the thing. Welcome everybody to Two Fat Guys in a Dream, your weight loss show for people who can't grow beards, I guess. Yeah. Today we're gonna keep it simple. We're kind of at the crossroads. We're at the end of our season 1. That's right. Next week, it'll officially be 1 year since we've been doing the episode. I think we've got something a little special planned, a little mid-show interview, if you will, next week. This week, though, we're going to kind of recap. So we're going to do, obviously, our weigh-ins. We're going to talk about where we're at, talk about the successes, the failures we've had this week. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, what we've learned in a year. We're going to look back on the past year, things we'd change, things we wouldn't change. Things we found successful, things we didn't find successful, I guess. So we're 1 year into this.
This became our grand plan about 5 minutes before the show started.
That's right. 1 year in, and we're still planning it. Sorry, I got the cat right here. You see this cat?
Got the ghost in there?
Yeah, do you see him? He's got here. Let me snag him. Oh, yeah, I got him right here. There you go. This is the new cat for everybody, but he wanted to be on the screen. He hopped in, so. Obviously, big fan. So sorry, he popped into the camera. I was like, "What is happening?" So yes, so that's the plan. That's what we're going to talk about. Let's get into it, Scott. I weighed in this week 253. I lost a pound. I was at 254 last week. I weighed in 253 this week. 1 pound brings me to just under 35% of my goal. Just under 30 pounds. I'm at 28.5. So it means if I make a good push, it could be at 30 pounds by our 1 year mark. And I'll tell you what. It's not bad. And if I make a really big push, could even really push this to be under 250 by the 1 year mark. And I really couldn't complain about that. And that's, I guess, having kind of reassessing and kind of taking looks at this, it helps you put everything in perspective and say, okay, we've talked about this before. We're like, man, it sucks that I only lost a pound last week, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then you do some things and you take a look and you go, oh, you know what? Maybe it's good that I'm not going to be upset that have managed to lose 30 pounds in a year. That's a good year for a lot of people. And so that'll be the goal. And that'll be the talk.
And considered you were kind of headed in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Oh, we both stalled out at the end of last year. Simply, we ran out of steam. We had a lot of steam. Well, it's like a lot of podcasts and a lot of shows.
When we started doing this.
Oh yeah,
you were kind of unhealthy. You weren't happy with where you were, and so not only did you stop the weight gain and the continuing to get unhealthy, you lost 30 pounds in the process. So
I think that's the biggest thing is like I'm back to a weight where without really trying, I can sustain right here. I've lived, I don't know, man, a fair amount of my life, a couple years at like this weight when I was in New Mexico. And so I know I can do it at this weight without doing too much. But I'm ready to do
Right.
more. I'm ready to get at a better weight where then it's easier to maintain because I'm living a healthier lifestyle. I'm doing a better job. So that's kind of the thing there. So, but I know I can do that. And being back to this weight when I was all the way up to 290 at times is great. I tell you what, so I every now and again I bowl. This is something that I don't know if I'm proud of this fact, but I bowl well. I guess I'm proud of bowling well. I told somebody I'm at the point in my life where somebody said, "Are you good at bowling?" I could probably say, "Yeah, pretty good." I'm
Right.
comfortable enough to say that. Where somebody's like, "Yeah, if you bowl 3 games and you expect to bowl over 200, if you bowl 3 games and you're sad that you don't bowl over 200 in any of those games, you're probably good." And I was like, "Oh, then I'm good." Yeah. But it's like
We kind of in our family we have a little bit of a different definition about what a good bowler is than a lot of people do.
wow, what was it? What was your best average in league? What was your top?
Me,
Mm-hmm.
212.
Ooh, I'm breathing down your neck. I'm at 209. I'm chasing you.
Oh, with your equipment, your lanes, much higher.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that the deal? You know what? I'll go down to Ward Parkway lanes, and I'll average 212 down there. All right, how about that?
No, you won't. Oh, you
Man,
won't.
I'll tell you what. It's weird to bowl on those lanes after bowling on lanes that I've bowled, the synthetic wood that I've bowled on all my life. Going down and bowling at Ward Parkway lanes is like bowling on carpet, man. I don't know how to describe it. Just there's such a different, and it's not like you feel the ball once you drop it, but you can feel it in like your feet when that ball drops differently. You're like, man, that is soft when you're putting it on.
When did you go to Ward Parkway Lanes?
When I lived the closest to Ward Parkway Lanes for 2 years. I went to Ward Parkway Lanes
Okay.
plenty of times.
I didn't know you went over to Ward Parkway Lanes.
I went like five or six times probably. We go down and bowl, do a little bit of work, do a couple drills, me and Tina.
Okay. Well, when I averaged 212. I averaged 212 at some place that doesn't exist anymore, which is Strike and Spare. So
Oh,
the building's
RIP.
still there. It's no longer a bowling alley.
RIP
Yep,
Strike and Spare.
absolutely.
AMF
All right, let's
totally
talk some weight.
owned by Bolero now. Sorry. All right. Yes. Let's talk about anything else. So yeah, down 28.5 pounds in a season of the show. But Scott, let's talk about your weight.
Let's.
You weighed in at 308.6 this week. You're at 310.1. That means you lost 1.5 pounds. You're up to almost 18% of your goal. Lost 23.7. How are you? I mean, that was a good week. 1 point. You've had 2.7, 0.9, 2.4, 1.5. You're chipping away at that weight, honestly.
Yep. And it's all about maintaining the plan. When you don't eat a lot of carbs, I've noticed you don't have a lot of room for error. So I can eat, what would be a normal carb day for somebody,
Right.
Maybe 80 to 100 carbs, and I'll put on a pound or a pound and a half.
Yeah.
So I notice I don't have that. My body is used to not having carbs, so that makes a huge difference. So
Yeah, absolutely. I had a beer or two at happy hour, and I feel like I'm wondering what that's going to do for my weight.
Right.
So.
And it's been a weird year because I kind of had a half-assed low carb plan that I was trying to it was more about counting calories and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last, since we've rededicated, and then especially since I hit the switch and became committed to the low, I wish I'd have been doing this the whole year. I wish I would have. I would like to see what that would have looked like.
That's the hardest part about becoming dedicated and becoming committed to something is you say, why did the hell wasn't I doing this before?
Right.
Why wasn't
but
I?
And
yeah.
But the other thing is, and we've talked about this before, a couple of years ago during the summer, I was in the 380s.
Right. Absolutely.
So I've really got two starting points. We started this a year ago, but I really kind of nickeled and dimed it for about the first 40 pounds that took me about a year and a half or so to get off. So
yeah,
compared to where I was back in, I want to say that would have been 2021, maybe 2020. Maybe it was the height of COVID there. I think it was that summer. So it's going to close in on 4 years, but still, I feel happy about that improvement. At my age, to have dropped 75 pounds in over the period of 3 years plus. I'm happy about that result for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, so
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
all's well, and I'm excited about continuing this. Having my buddy on when I really wanted to have him on because I'd talk to him, and that's one of the things I watch your guys' podcast. You guys need to stop jacking around. You need to just flip the switch and dedicate. Like, yeah, but I'm just doing this thing, and we want to show how we can still kind of eat normal and blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, how's the results? Well, they suck. They're good and bad. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
right.
So, the more I started thinking about it when we were taking, to quote Ross, we were on a break. When I went off the deep end there for a couple months,
Mm-hmm.
I started turning his words over in my brain, and I'm like, you know what? There might be something to it. You know what? It can't hurt. It can't hurt to give it a try. Pick
Mm-hmm.
out something that I think I can I can follow, and and flip the switch and see what happens. So that's
Absolutely.
exactly what I did. So
So
better days ahead. I want to see this next year.
right. I think a lot of that kind of leads us into our big subject for the episode, which is the year in review. We're going to talk about things we learned. I would say,
Yep.
I think, what would I tell myself a year ago? Right. I mean, that's what a lot of this is. I mean, and so this show started. We were doing a lot of diet reviews,
Yep.
and
You were trying a different diet every other week.
And I think that was good. I think the thing about that is that when you're doing something like that, it makes you go, okay, I'm going to commit to this because I need to actually review this and I need people to have understand. So at the very least, it made me commit. And I would say, honestly, it's funny. What would I tell Truman a year ago? I don't know. But what Truman 10 months ago would have told me is that it's about the commitment a lot to those diets. It's you talk about it all the time. It's about flipping a switch. I'm kind of noticing as I work out more and more, I'm doing a lot more lifting nowadays, and I can feel my body as I'm recovering. It's like it needs more. I can. It's one of those things where the more you work out, the more you can feel that you're putting shit into your body. You're gunking up,
Right.
you're gunking up the gears. I will say, and as much as I haven't lost weight, or I haven't lost a ton of weight over the last, I don't know, 4 months on this show. What I will say is that I can feel that my body is changing. Like while I haven't lost weight, I know that this shirt fits looser than it had. I know my vest that I wore over this shirt today, my work vest, fit better than it did 2 months ago. And that's, again, I've been lifting a little bit more with my workouts while not doing just straight cardio. So it isn't all just losing weight. And I'm not sure how much weight I have more to lose right here. It's about
Right.
losing the weight down here now, losing that spare tire. We are even at our lowest. We are broad. I know
Yeah.
I've always been broad. I've never fit into small places. I've never been a great person to sit next to on an airplane, regardless of my weight. So I just
Right.
we don't struggle to go through doorways, but we don't. I don't fit in small very much. So
People don't quite like physically groan when you're going to sit next to them on an airplane. But they're not like smiling, going, how you doing? Good to have
right.
you here."
Thank God that guy sat down in the middle. Yeah, they're not like,
Right.
what, dude? This guy's sitting in the middle. I might be able to grab another armrest on it over here. Nobody's saying that. They're all like, shit. There goes the middle armrest. All right, I gotta
Yep.
lean away. Yeah. Right. I do a lot of this on an airplane. I feel a lot of I don't stretch. I try to keep everything pretty tight in here. Little boxer stance.
Yeah, I flew Southwest and I upgraded all the way to be in the first 10 or 20 or whatever the super VIP is on Southwest.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately got on and went all the way to the back and sat in the back row on the aisle.
Really?
And yep.
That is I've sat one time in the very back row on an airplane. That is my least favorite spot to sit on an entire plane.
What?
It's something about when you're that far back because the plane is, tilted or it's slightly up. I can feel it when I'm sitting back there. I feel like I'm at an incline the whole time. I do not like that. I like to feel like I'm sitting flat. So whatever it is back there, because I'm feeling it more on the end, I feel like I'm back, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm good on this. Thank you.
It's bizarre.
I feel like I'm going up a roller coaster slowly the whole time. Yeah, it's not. It's not that it doesn't create like anxiety for me or anything. I just don't like the way it feels to just be constantly rocked back. I'm all right.
Okay, that's fair.
And,
well,
and that's something I didn't know
for,
till I did it. You know.
I did it for a very practical reason. I wanted to get up to the restroom and hit my vape. So I wanted to be as close as possible to the restroom and not have to crawl over people getting in and out of my seat.
Are you
So,
tampering with smoke detectors on an airplane? Because that is a federal
no,
crime. I don't know if you knew that.
no. I can just I can hold the vape inside long enough where it dissipates.
Fair enough. All right.
All right.
So that being said, okay, so we kind of got off topic there. But so what would I say, and I guess that's what I'm learning here in the back half is that while some things haven't changed or, while the weight numbers haven't reflected as much, I know that there's a change in my body. I know there's a change in my daily. I mean, every time I don't have those days where like my cheat days on the weekends at the beginning of this show where I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to do it on Friday or on Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
Those days were so much different than what a cheat day is now for me. My cheat day now is like, I might have 2,200 calories. I might have a little 2,300 maybe. Those cheat days back then, it was like, okay, we're having Big Biscuit for lunch. That's 1,500 calories meals and a soda on the side. All right, cool. I'm going to have a burger for dinner. I'm going to be close to 3,000. I'm going to be pushing just over, and like now it's like, okay,
Right.
listen, I'm really going to ruin my fucking week if I go over 2,000 here. I really don't want to. But it's like, all right, maybe I'll have a soda instead of having a beer when all of my friends hang out, or whatever. It's like,
Well, and you learned some valuable lessons about plans that don't work for you, things
that's
that
true.
are not sustainable for you.
Absolutely.
The intermittent fasting comes to mind. I know you struggled with that.
Mm-hmm.
The raw food. I don't think you were a big fan of the raw food.
Oh God, no! That one was one of the worst ones. I will say. I'm not afraid to say that.
Well, it's just hard to get any kind of protein when you're,
Yeah.
and if you're working out, your body needs protein to build the muscles.
Yep.
So it's a kind of a counterintuitive plan. So yeah, I think we both learned a lot, and I learned the main takeaway I have is you can't half-ass it.
No.
If you want consistent results, because I was eating at a calorie deficit, so sometimes I'd have a good week, sometimes I'd have a bad week.
Mm-hmm.
But I think doing the low carb thing, and I have continued to educate myself throughout this process, and the more I do it, the more I'm convinced it's all about the sugar, and by default about the carbs because carbs process in to sugar when they go through your body. So
Absolutely.
the education process for me has been probably what I've learned the most. So I'm anxious to get, and then what I wish we would have done, maybe we could do that for next week, is actually do measurements.
Okay.
And because, you're talking about, you work out a lot, so you're obviously building muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe the scale isn't going down as fast as you'd like, but then you talk about how your clothes fit better.
Yeah. Right.
How you can feel it in your clothes, even though it's not necessarily reflected on the scale. And I would posit that that's probably partly because you're building muscle, which is denser and weighs more, and replacing the fat in your body. So
Yeah. I think I
and
always feel that where I'm like, damn it, why didn't I take a picture of myself at the beginning of this and the end of this? But
well, and if you want to do it for real, you take your measurements of your waist, you go get blood work done. You check your levels, and you can see if you're having demonstrable results. But we've kind of not really taken that step, which wouldn't be a horrible thing to do. So
right.
I'm probably going to go to the doctor within the next month or so. I want to have a good clean month of eating this way, and then go get my numbers done at the doctor's office and see where I'm at. So anyway, let's look forward to the second year of the show.
On the flip side of this, I've actually had the worst photo. It's funny. iPhone will do that thing where it cycles through photos that you've had, recently or that you've taken, and it's like, here, look at this photo. And I found what I believe is the worst photo, or the photo that shows me how big I was before we started this show.
You got the before, huh?
Yeah, let me see. Let me send this to you, and then that way I'll send it to you on Discord, and that way I can open it up so on a Chrome browser just so everybody can see it. I don't know if I'll have a good photo but like it's different for me to. It's one of those things where seeing it now, I'm like, okay, that's like, I was like, man, okay, there is a night and day difference where I'm like, yeah, I look different than that. Where I'm like, man, how different could I look? And then I see that, and I'm like, all right, and I do like, you know what, you know what, some progress was made for sure.
There was an attempt.
Yeah, right. Trying to think if I've got a good photo of what I look like now. We'll see. But there's, shirts fit differently. Shirts fit better now. I mean, quite simply, it's just, I know how different I feel.
Brighter. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Then, even though our results weren't what we wanted as far as the scale wise go, I wouldn't consider it a wasted year. I'd consider it a valuable year. And, you feel better. I feel better. That's ultimately what it's about, and keeping the momentum going,
Right. I think that at the end of the day, I think that has to be a lot of what your motivation should be, is that it's okay. It isn't, it needs to come from internal, right? It shouldn't, I mean, it can come from external things, right? We had your friend on who had a heart attack. That is something that can certainly kickstart your weight loss, where you're like, okay, yeah, I need to do better. But there's also times where, what it shouldn't be is, oh, my girlfriend says I should lose a little weight, I'm going to lose a little weight. That ain't right, It's
right.
It come, I think before we started the show, I said, listen, I do not feel good when I wake up in the morning. When I do stuff, I feel like I'm straining my body. I'm like, something is wrong. Something's not right. And I'm like, yeah, man, no shot. So, and
yeah, that's a hell of a before right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I can, let me put it on here real quick so for everybody, see if I can see what I can do.
So that's at the Sugar Bowl?
This was at the Sugar Bowl, yes. So let me see if I can see what I can do for everybody here. So, yeah, here I am. Listen, it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying myself, but also, this is me at truly my biggest, because I was also in New Orleans, drinking, having gumbo, having a couple of ice cream daiquiris. Yeah, so let me stand up. Like, see if you can see where I'm at now. So, just comparatively.
Yeah. Substantial difference, and you can really see it in the face too,
Right. Oh yeah, the faces. I mean, yeah, it's a huge difference, I think. So.
Well, and I guarantee you, if you were to go back to the Superdome and climb those stairs, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be a lot less winded up there on the third level.
We talked about, there might be, I can't remember. No, I guess it wasn't this year, but it was the year maybe after. No, it might have been that year. Did we go to? So, because we talked about this on the show. I think it was actually the year before. We went to.
It was the year before.
It was the year before. Yeah, we went to Denver, Colorado. We sat 5 rows from the top at Mile High, and legitimately, I don't think I caught my breath until the second quarter. I thought for the first time in my life, I'd had some real considerations where I was like, I could legitimately have a problem. I was like, if I don't catch my breath in the next 10 minutes, I might be having cardiac arrest, or might be having a problem here where there might need to be medical attention up here.
Right.
And somehow that wasn't the wake up, The wake up became.
You can blame it on the altitude.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just, I'm just out of breath because of the altitude. Yeah. No, the wake up became, I'd really like to put another podcast on the internet. That was my wake up call. Is, oh boy, I hope people want to hear my voice a little bit more.
Well, there you go. And the rest is history.
And now we're here, baby. 30 pounds down. Let's go. Man, yeah. I just and so and that's the hardest part is seeing sometimes it's hard to know where you came from. So seeing that photo I think helps. And I there's times that you got to see that photo and say, man, that is not where I wanted to be. And, it's not fat phobic. It's not able-bodyist or anything like that. It's just simply saying, I know who I was when I was at that point, and I know I wasn't at my happiest. I know I wasn't at my most, I've been athletic for a lot of my life, and I can tell you I was not in a good spot at that point,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, saying that, you personally, you did not feel good about who you were, and you feel better at a lower weight. There's, tons of people that, with the body acceptance and everything, and they are completely happy and satisfied with who they are, and their health and everything, and that's fine. It's just not our journey.
No, it's not where you were. It's not where I am.
No, and this has never been about what anybody else is doing. I don't care. I stopped a long time ago caring what other people did about shit, because it just doesn't matter.
We're both committed men. We're both in pretty serious relationships. I mean, I would say you're in a very serious relationship with my mother, and I'm 27. You guys are still married, so if that tells you guys how committed you guys are. I mean, if this was a bit, it's really run its course at this point, But
I'm working the long con, buddy. I'm working the long con.
Yeah. But and I've been dating Tina for 5 years. Listen, we're locked in too. So if you think we're doing it for other people, we're doing it because for some amount of it is we do want to be around for a long time to be with our partners and whatnot. But a lot of it also is just wanting to be a better version be the best version of ourselves, and I know where the best version of myself is, and I know it's still a couple more pounds down, I would say.
Fair. That's fair. All right. So,
absolutely.
All right. So I'm ready to have a dynamite second year and beat last year's total.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of the fun part, right? Is now you get to chase down your next year. If I do another 30 pounds, if we're sitting here in another year, I want to lose the next 50. But if I lose 30,
if you're in the 220s or a year from now,
oh my God, I'd be cooking. Yeah. I'd be happy.
You're still working out. And you're building muscle. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Because if I'm at 220 a year from now, it ain't gonna be like 30 pounds less. It's gonna be like 40 pounds of fat less and 10 more pounds of muscle, I'd imagine. So
That's fair. All right. Very good. Looking forward to it, buddy.
Absolutely. Guys, we appreciate you for being here. Appreciate you sticking out for a whole year. If you guys want to follow us anywhere, Twitter, at Steam Machine, at Steamroller. This election cycle, I'm not being political at all. So that's my. I'm writing a lot of tweets and deleting them right now.
Tell us how many episodes you've listened to. We want to find out what the personal record is out there. Drop us a comment.
Right.
Tell us how many episodes. Maybe we can come up with some kind of prize. We'll send them a little something from Amazon or something like that.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. We'll send you a scale. No, it's not just. We'll send you a little food scale to help you measure it out. We'll send you a loaf of bread for. We'll send you some keto bread or some protein shakes or something.
We'll do better than that. But
we'll figure something out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tell us how many episodes you've listened to. Tell us your favorite episode. Tell us, this is the funniest bit. Tell me, this is where I learned the most. This is the biggest thing I've learned in the last year. This is my weight loss change that I've made because I listened to the show, That
absolutely. That's a great idea.
Any amount of reflecting, anything amount of, if you've been here for the long ride, if you've been here for a couple episodes, all the episodes, none of the episodes except for this one, no matter what, we appreciate you guys for being here. And
key word is validation, folks. We're looking for any kind of fucking validation here at all for what we've
done. Please. But it's mostly by following the YouTube. That's right. YouTube.com/Open Disaster Productions. I like that name until somebody says that out loud where they say, is this you on YouTube? Open Disaster Productions? And you go, ooh, yeah. I thought that name was pretty cool until you said it just like that. It's like John Mulaney. John Mulaney, I think, has a bit about whenever you think a joke is funny until you hear it read out in court, and you're like, I don't know if it was that funny. Yeah.
And on that note, everybody, there's your closer.
On that note, we appreciate you for being here. The believers, the dreamers, even the fat guys. Again, twitter.com/Steam Machine, twitter.com/SteenRoller, TikTok.com/Steam Machine. I guess if you want to follow that. YouTube, Open Disaster Productions. We appreciate you for being here. The dreamers, the believers, and even the fat guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Great week.
See you guys.